Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at Shipyard, the second edition. All right, let's get started. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you have, I do appreciate that support. Thank you very much. So this, again, is the second edition. Now, I owned the first edition a long time ago, but I parted ways with it. I don't believe it had a solo mode. This one does, which is one of the reasons I was interested in taking a look at it. But also, they did rework a few things. They kind of put all these rondelles together in one spot. And they just kind of upped the components. But they also did a nice little thing right here. If I remember correctly, this little gear thing didn't exist before. And it's a very handy way to kind of keep track of what turn you've got going on and everything else. So pretty cool. All right, so what do you do in this game? It is a very, I'd say, straightforward game. You are building ships, and that's all you're doing. You're building ships, period. And the way that the ships score points is how they will interact with these little canal tiles that you're going to do here. That'll be one way, but also based on its speed and based on what you put on the ship is how it scores points, okay? And when you complete a ship, you move it forward into this area over here, and then you will take it on a shakedown, and that is how you determine the amount of points you get, etc. Now, in the solo game, it is a beat your own score. The solo opponent is actually two opponents, so you're playing like a three-player game, but as you'll see here in a second, it is very easy to handle. And when you look at the score, a 60 is considered like the minimum for a victory. 80 is more like a represented score, a better score. 95 would be you're the man. So I'm about, I guess, a little more than halfway through the game, and I've built two different ships, and so far I've scored 18 points with them at this moment. So it's very simple. On your turn, you're going to do the exact same thing. You are going to remove your cube from the action you took last time. You're going to push this action forward. If this drops into place, that will signal the, it doesn't really signal the end of anything. It's just you remove it. Whoops. You remove it and you put another one in there coming up, but it also might trigger you to discard some of your contracts. At the end of the game, you're only going to have two contracts you can fulfill, one gray, one red, or one blue, one red. I can't remember if they call it gray or blue. Anyway, the whole point is that there's no end of round situation here. You are just playing this game turn after turn after turn until you go to, until your last block locks in there, and that will trigger the end of the game, and then you'll get one more turn, and that'll be it. Okay, so a couple things you could do on your turn. You can never choose the one you just did before. However, you can choose any other action that's open. You cannot choose an action where your cube or a different cube is already. And then I say that because if you're playing a two-player game, you'll have two sets of cubes out here. But in the solo, you can never choose one that's already occupied. If you choose one that is in between or there are other occupied spots over here, you'll actually gain money. All right, one guilder per occupied spot. If you put it over on these, any here, of course you can't do this one. These three, you won't gain any guilders. And then you'll take the action. And the action, there are a bunch of different ones. So basically, just to show you, you can buy commodities from the market at 0, 1, or 2 cost. You can trade those commodities, either sell them for the amount. So in this case, like I could sell this if I wanted to for 3 guilders, and then 1 for each wheat. Or I could, instead of selling them, I could trade them for one of the rewards here for each thing that I would do. And that's what this does. In this rondelle, you can only move 1 space ahead. You don't have the ability to skip more spaces. This rondelle, you get the first one for free, but you can pay 1 guilder to go any spot further, and you will choose one of these employees to hire, and they give you some benefit throughout the game depending on what you choose. This allows you to buy 1 to 3 ship tokens, which are out here. And you can either buy them for free, 1 or 2 per token. When you buy them, you have to put them down in your shipyard here. And there are some legal placements and illegal placements. Basically, you have to make sure that whatever you put down is going to be able to turn into a ship. Because once you put it down, you can't move it. All right. So for anything to be a legal ship, it has to have basically a front, one middle, and a back. It can have as many middle pieces as you want, but it's got to have that situation out here. So any kind of configuration you put down that doesn't allow for that will not work, okay? This allows you to recruit different employees, a captain, a stoker, a businessman or merchant, and an officer, and they score for in different ways or do different things. This right here allows you to buy different equipment, which you'll attach to your ship when you give it a shakedown. And this roll right here allows you to rent a channel to put it into your little area here where you're going to, when you do your shakedown, travel through and do some scoring and other things. So pretty straightforward from a standpoint of a Euro game. Now, from a solo standpoint, it's even easier. So I'm going to take my turn. I'm just going to demonstrate how the solo works. Because basically what they're doing is they're just advancing the game and moving the rondelles and shifting up the board a little bit. They are not scoring. They are not interacting directly with you. It's all indirect action, just like it would be if you're playing with two other people. But it's very simple to do. So let's go ahead and see what my turn is going to be. I'm going to choose to buy 1 to 3 of the ship tokens here. And what am I doing? Well, I have 2 contracts, one of which gives me a lot of points for every, well, 2 points basically for every merchant guy that I have or businessman that I have on my completed ships. So I might as well look for ways to employ him. Well, this is a great center for that because I could use this and I would be able to put a crane on here. That would help. And he could go into this spot right there. So I'll pick that one up for 0. Now the question where I want to put it depends on how big I want my ship. So I'm also looking and seeing, well, I'm about to cross over a life raft thing or lifeboat, not lifeboat, but life preserver situation here, which will score me points. So this makes a lot of sense because it has one of those icons. And since I'm doing that, and I took it from here, I have to pay 1 guilder. Now what else? I could, if I wanted to, put another boat right here and actually have a ship, the back of the ship right here. But I wouldn't score any points because every ship has to have a captain. So I do not want to seal it that quickly. All right. So what do I want to do? Well, maybe the best thing to look at would be to get a decent amount of speed. I could, make this boat go faster. The faster the boats go, the better off I am because they score more points. So maybe I'll pick up this one right here. This would have a spot for a stoker and also a spot for a some kind of either sail or a smokestack. So I will get that one, and I'm going to give myself a little room to make a bigger boat. We're going to go ahead and set it right there. That costs me 2. All right. Now, when I'm done with my turn, I slide these down here, and I refill from this nice little stack that they gave you. This is a great little addition that comes with this game, just like this one. Oh, so good for making a quicker setup and making it easier to put out your tiles. So I really like that. All right, so we're just going to replace these, and then my turn is over. Now, watch how simple. So first of all, we're gonna move with the next one. So this is how these other turns go. So the second player here, the second Automa, is going to push this down. They're going to replace. We're going to put that in there. And then we're going to flip a tile to see what they do. Okay, they are going to take this action right here, and they're going to move the wheel, this exact wheel, 2 spaces. 1, 2. That's it. They don't take the action. They don't have to do anything. I said take the action, but that's all they're going to do. Very simple. The third person's going to do the same thing. Going to advance the wheel like that, or the gear. We're going to flip this over. It's the commodity tile. We're going to put it over here, and it's going to buy the first one over here. Not really going to buy, it's just going to take it out of the mix. And there we go. Super easy. Okay, so then it's back to me. And basically, this is the way the game is going to proceed. And the other thing you could do on your turn, if you have 6 guilders, is you can buy a bonus action. You can only buy 1 per turn, but you can basically spend 6 guilders to take any action you want, even the ones that are blocked, but you don't advance anything and you don't do anything to speed up the game. It just allows you to take a bonus turn with the same kind of rondelle. All the other rules apply, but you don't actually move anything. So really pretty simple. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on it. I think I will eventually do a playthrough, but right now I just want to give you the overview and a review of what's going on. Now, a couple more things. Number one, you don't actually put the stuff in your ship until you actually launch the ship and do a shakedown, okay? And since it'll take a few turns. Let me just tell you in detail how you would score a shakedown. I'll use this. Let's pretend I just launched this ship right here, okay? Now, this ship right here, it only has a speed of 1 because if you notice the categories here, it does not have a sail, it does not have a stoker, and it only has 1 of the 2 smokestacks needed. So base speed is just 1. That's it. That's as fast as we go. So if I was going to do this as a shakedown, I'd only move my ship 1 space. That'd be all it would do. It wouldn't cross over anything here, so I wouldn't get any bonus scores, and it'd be a relatively low-scoring ship. It would also give me, though, I would get 1 point for the captain, 1 point for the other businessman crew, so that'd be 2 points right there. I would not get any other points for any cranes or any armaments, and I would get just the 1 point for the speed. So it wasn't a great ship by itself. The reason I ended up having to launch it was I kind of walled myself in and didn't get the kind of the things that I needed. And I really wanted to launch this ship, so this one was it was there just as it was. Maybe I should have held on to it longer and got some other things, but that's the push and pull of this game. How much longer do you hold on to the ship tiles and try to, build them up versus just sending them along the way so you can get kind of into something else? Because you don't have an infinite amount of time. It is a relatively short game. You're going to take a decent amount of turns, but it takes a while to put together your ship. And so depending on what you're trying to do, depending on your contracts, depending on how you're configuring your thing over here, sometimes you have to make a decision of, do I just keep going? Do I try to build the biggest amount of ships? Do I just launch multiple? And a lot of it is going to have to do with, what you've got going on here as far as your goals that'll help. But there's other things too. There's, the AI will take actions you want to take, and so that might slow you down. Oh, they took an action you wanted. Well, now I got to wait for another cycle for it to come open. Is it worth waiting for another cycle, or should I get a B plan going with a different ship, etc.? So lots of things to consider, but it's not overwhelming by any means because the game is very straightforward, all right? And in some way, that means this game does show its age, but that straightforwardness is also enhanced by how fast you could take the other turns and the easiness of this solo mode to execute. So I'm not going to ramble anymore. Let me tell you what I think about it. So the second edition of Shipyard, I think, improves just about in all the ways that you could improve the base game without adding extra stuff or fussing with things, okay? And first of all, the solo mode. Very, very easy and effective solo mode. It is beat your own score, but that's all the Vladimir Suchy games. They're always all beat your own score, which I'm fine with because I like that style of Euro. I like the Euro that puts my own brain to the test versus having to, contend with other players just as much as I like contending with other players. It does not bother me one bit. So if you're a fan of beat your own score, this one does a good job of it. The 3 levels that they put out there are challenging to accomplish because you've got to really be efficient on your turns. I mean, getting 95 points is a huge accomplishment for sure. So I think this game does what it tries to do very well in that regard. You're building ships. That is it. You are building ships. You're trying to build ships to match what is important for the tiles you're going to sail over, for the contracts you have, and to maximize their scoring, okay? And in doing that, that is a really, really easy thing to mentally understand, but to actually accomplish it is what makes this game a tactical fun and a joy to play. I would say this game is not a again, it's a second edition to an older game, and it feels like an older game, okay? In a newer game, I think they would have probably added a bunch of other things to it, which would have made for different strategies and different kinds of ways to do things. Maybe it isn't all this or all that, but that is not present in this game. This game is a massive efficiency puzzle to solve, trying to buy the right stuff at the right time for the right price, trying to put it on the ship as efficiently as possible to build as many ships as you can, because the more ships you build, the more often you're going to score. And those ships have to be good. They have to whatever they're going to sail over, you want them to be scoring exactly that, and you don't want them to waste any other parts. So there is some element to the unknown. You don't know how the tiles are going to come out. You don't exactly know what the AI is going to do to block you, but they do a good job of that, blocking, a turn or blocking what's coming up. So it's a lot of stuff that does put some uncertainty in it. This is not just a rote game where you can sit down and say, this is exactly what I'm going to do, and it's going to go exactly according to plan. Because all of the moving elements and the way that the actions change, and the way you might need to generate some guilders by putting your tile, taking the action that is behind, so to speak, the other ones that are already occupied, all that plays into the whole thing. And for that reason, I really enjoy this game. I think it is a very pleasant game to play. And actually, I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it that much, because I sold the other one because it was super dry. And this is also a dry game, ironically, about building ships. But the difference here is that when I'm playing it by myself and not multiplayer, I don't have to sit there and wait for other people's turns to take place. I don't have to sit there and have them agonize over a decision. And I think the other problem I had with the other game is that it went longer than I needed it to go when I was playing a multiplayer game. However, in the solo player, you see how fast those solo actions go. They're just basically advancing things around. It makes it so that it's all your turn. It's all gameplay focused on what you're trying to do. And so you can keep yourself focused. You can keep the turns moving. And I just like the way it flows. I like the pace. So I hesitated to buy this game for a while when it came out, but I decided to take a chance on it, and I'm really glad I did. I don't think this game is going to be for everybody. I think that people will say that sometimes maybe it is too focused on one thing. And, yes, you can get different employees, you can get different bonus tiles, you can do things that change that puzzle. But I think some people who are looking for more, who are looking for something that's like a bigger, wider, more, lots of different things to do kind of design, then you're going to want to look elsewhere. It is true, you will experience everything this game has to offer in the first time you play it. However, it doesn't mean you're going to do well the first time you play it, because there's lots of ways to accomplish what you want to do more effectively. There's like, for instance, the commodities. Okay, so you're going to have to spend 2 turns, 1 turn to buy a commodity, 1 turn to sell or trade with a commodity. However, in doing that, you will potentially get some money and different trades, and maybe even trades in different things that you need that aren't easy to come by, right? Because of the way the rondelle is, or because people are blocking your turns. So commodities in themselves offer a flexibility that isn't quickly seen until you've played it a couple times and understand it. It's really frustrating to not have enough guilders to do what you want to do in order to move the rondelles. So do you really want to take that extra action to buy that extra action, and in doing so maybe deprive yourself of that flexibility? I don't know. It depends. If the board is set up exactly with what you want and you need, you can take it right then and there, get it done before it's taken away from you or blocked from you. So there are plenty of good, interesting choices to be made, even though it's a straightforward game. This game does not play itself. I know you're like, well, I got my contracts, I see exactly what I need to do. Yeah, well, doing it is different than knowing what you want to do. And doing it well and efficient is very much different than just doing it, period. So that's my thoughts on the game. I'm really enjoying it. I hope it was helpful for you. You can see I'm most likely gonna record a playthrough sometime down the line, just so you can kind of get a full feel of the game. But I wanted to get right to the points, because this is an older game and many of you know the game. And I just wanted to point out heavily what is going on with the solo. And for the solo and the solo experience, I think it is very good. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.